AKA Padders, we have something totally special here today. It's not 90s comics. You guys know this channel. You guys know me as Peter A DeLuca, the 90s comic book mastermind. J5 book. That's our artist, Jeff Johns. That's our writer. This book, you can see, it's opened, but I got this for Christmas a long time ago, years ago. So many years ago, it ended up on my shelf and I completely forgot about it. And I came across it and I decided to document me getting into this for the first time, focusing on the artwork, not on the writing. And the reason for that, here, let me just get some of that. But guys, AKA Pad69, Peter A DeLuca, subscribe, support, leave a comment. You guys know the drill. This channel's growing, and it's growing because of you. When we get into Jeff Johns' we have to say post DCEU. He was the guy that brought back The Flash, brought back Green Lantern, made Justice Society cool again, you know, with some help of some amazing covers by Alex Ross. But he was the history guy. He was almost like the Mark Waid that never was. He got embedded in the management and in the quote-unquote design of the DC comic book universe. Later, taking all that Green Lantern credibility because he really was the guy that created the Green Lantern mythology. He takes it into the Green Lantern movie, takes it into the Zack Snyderverse, or everything that came post Green Lantern, and he hung around for a couple years until they said, "You're out." But he was, you know, he continues to write comics. He had that much good faith within the doors of DC Comics and Warner Brothers. And this is one of the effects of that good faith. We have this and we have Doomsday Clock, illustrated by Gary Frank. I'm long on record of saying I refuse to even acknowledge Doomsday Clock exists. I believe it's the creative shortcoming. It's to make DC Comics interesting, we don't have to go to Watchmen. We don't have to talk about Watchmen. We don't have to pretend that Watchmen is somehow connected to the DC universe. All of these things. Watchmen should just never be touched. And this even extends to before Watchmen. I'm decades at this point. Like 10 plus years of saying this. I said it when those books came out. So when it comes to the three Jokers, I somewhat knew the premise of this, right? I somewhat knew the premise of this. And I know it's not just one Joker. It's literally three separate Jokers. All of this stems from Batman sitting at the Mobius chair. And he asks the Mobius chair, if you guys don't know, New Gods Mobius chair. He's like, hey, guy, he's like, this thing knows everything. I can ask it anything. And I guess, like, in that moment, the Dark Knight rather know who the Joker is than anything else, which is not of character, separate point. But yeah, the chair answers, and it took us a long time to get to this point. I wanted to document me not just like not being appreciative of the modern comic book, not being appreciative of the modern day. I do believe the digital technology, the digital production, it lends to a lot. And it gives a little bit more power back to the artist. The industry itself isn't artist-driven anymore. That's a whole other... That's almost like one of the precepts of this channel. That's not even another video. Yeah, so join me at the drawing table. We're going to crack this open for the first time. And I'm going to share it with you. Let's go.
Gotham City always brings a smile to my face. Winged freak terrorizes. Wait till they get a load of me. Ooh. Oop.
But before we hit that drawing table, I just want to showcase this. This is on my bookshelf. This is my marketing section, by the way. But we do have one Joker, even going down to the original role-playing game. These were lead figures that you could paint. And I've had this since I was a kid. But then, like, all of a sudden, we get this, like, we get the Jared Leto Joker, which, by the way, guys, I do absolutely love that interpretation of the Joker. But the Joker is a deeply meaningful character to me and for me, because I believe this is a character for Peter A DeLuca AKAPAD. There it is, aka Padders. Cheers. Guys, come on. Can we just admire a little bit of the color of my matcha? I've been practicing my own matcha drinks here at home in the production room. Guys, this is fantastic. I implore all of you, learn to make things. Learn to have fun, learn to make things. And I get it. Matcha is a powder blend, but you do have to work it a little bit. You do have to get other techniques to get some consistency. So cheers to all of you. Let's get... Where's my razor? This is exciting. Here's the wild thing. My mother bought me this book a couple years ago for Christmas. And she bought it just because, she was somewhere. She thought it looked cool. She knows her son, her boy over here, likes the comic book thing. My mother's always been amazingly and highly supportive of my illustration, my drawing, my comic, just my interest as a kid. I was into toys, movies, comics, and sports. I loved sports growing up, and we did it all. As I got older, I drifted out of sports and even drifted out of illustration. But I always kept drawing, and it's like, these are ways that we just choose to identify with one another. And it doesn't mean that I can't appreciate this, because it's a modern day book. It's one of the most modern day books I own. Now, I may follow Jason Fabok. I think this is our artist. I think the artist here I follow on Instagram. And I'm making that note because I think this guy's fantastic from what I've seen of his work. And I like the paneling here because, I remember him posting pages. Oh, this is like UV too. Wow. So this is matte right here. Like matte finish. And then technically this panel here, we would call this spot UV. Really cool. You guys heard that crack. Whoa. Holy crap. This is well designed. DC always has had a superior design department versus it's like DC's design consistently just as a publisher versus everyone else. So guys, I'd like to say I think the matcha drink was a good choice for this video because it perfectly matches our book. I don't want to comment on the story because I know a little bit. See the 9-panel grid. He would post these. The coloring is fantastic. See, I like these shots of highlights here. See, where it gets a little glowy. It kind of glows a little bit. And yes, we get Batman with the scars. We've seen a lot of this. So this is like a 9-panel, this is what we will call a grid comic. See, I remember this too. He would post stuff like her face and stuff. And I think he's digital. Digital or not, this is superior level artwork. The 9-panel grid works so well in just telling the story. Go wide when you have to, when you want to establish something. Look, here too. Look, he splits it and we still get motion. Some of the coloring, again, like I would like to tag some of these scenes a little bit better. This is awesome with the raccoon. Again, drawing animals, drawing vehicles, drawing women, drawing children. This is your four-headed dragon of death for any illustrator. This is awesome. This is like so well put together here. Yeah, and I just walked by this on my shelf and it popped out and I said, you know what? I was like, mother effer, let's crack it open, fire up the camera, and have a look. You got a great sidekick here. And again, too, guys, if we're working within the grid, we can do action. Because it's how well you handle what's within the panel. So I get it. Like, there's 3 Jokers. Like, they're all separate ones. The Mike Mignola cover. Again, too, like, he draws everything. Hand holding the gun. And oh, wow, dude. He nukes the Joker. What the hell? So what do we do? Like, now I'm getting curious about what Jeff Johns does here. Jeff Johns, to me, if we have to just make a note of our writer here, Jeff Johns, okay? We forget that he was a part of DC and he was a part of the DC extended universe, right? Like, heavily involved with the Green Lantern movie. And it seemed like they were using him as an architect, very much how Marvel Studios, the MCU, had like a core of comic book creators initially for Phase 1. And they had like a core of creators that they would access for, you know, comic book insight, continuity, what works, what doesn't work, you know, like just being consultants. Jeff Johns was a consultant for the DC extended universe, the film universe, and we see shades of it even in Green Lantern. And what happened was, like, when the DCEU fell apart, like his involvement with DC kind of fell apart too. So, and he lost some of his power, but he stayed on as writer. And at the time, you really had, when it came to like the true DC historian writers that wanted to write heroes, it was like really like Mark Waid and Jeff Johns. Those were like your 2 big cats. Jeff Johns like comes back into the fold, but you're almost just like, hey, I'd rather, like, you know, Justice Society, Jeff Johns. I'd rather Jeff Johns, the guy that brought back Flash and Green Lantern, and say what you want about that, but he did bring them back. He brings it all back, and then through events destroys everything, and then destroys Watchmen, destroys the legacy of Watchmen, and in a way challenges the legacy of the Joker here with this book. So he's almost like he becomes like a deconstructionist. And you have to make a note. So like here we get like a couple different ones, like 2 separate Jokers. And look, we can tell just from their faces. Like subtle changes, but really nice and well done. So there's like, I guess like all these other Jokers, they're hunting them down, they're killing them. We have Red Hood. Again, I sound like an old man screaming at the clouds. I don't like Red Hood at all. I don't think Red Hood should be in continuity. I don't think Barbara Gordon should be Batgirl, because she, you know, if we put Killing Joke as continuity, she is confined to a wheelchair. But Jeff Johns is still a fantastic writer. Like, he still knows, like, this is awesome too. Like, just the Red Hood rolling up, like pulling the crowbar out from his back. And I love that the Red Hood has a mask, but then he has a diamond mask. Like, double disguises. Like, you know, like a pool of just like Joker bodies. One of them jumps out, tries to jump on him, get him zombie style. That's a great panel right there, though. And then I guess he ends up tied up naked, James Bond, Daniel Craig style. And they have a little bit of their exchange. So, like, it really would be the arc and a tragedy of Red Hood if Red Hood got killed by the Joker twice. Yeah, he got killed as a young man, got brought back to life, but got killed again. But I like that this is kind of the three characters most affected by the Joker, and right, going after the Joker, which is Batman, Barbara Gordon, Red Hood. But this is like, wow, look at that panel. Guys, this is a great exercise just to follow the story without reading it. I think some of these faces, I think this is some of the best comic book artwork one can do today. I really feel that. I can't speak of the consistency of this because, right, I know Doomsday Clock, like long delays for that with Gary Frank. I don't know what the delays were for this. And see how we properly tag the flashbacks? We kind of talk about this a lot, but the black and whites tag the flashbacks perfectly well. I love, there is a nice amount of slowdown here, just when it comes to some of these panel sequences. To where, see, like we're just kind of pausing. We slow down the story. Because we have to imagine that in some weird way, like we're in the gray matter of the reader when it comes to this. See, like the reader, like we're engaged, we're reading, right? We're following, but then it completely slows us down. I didn't think so much of this was silent, but that's great. And then we kind of have, right, like I guess like a Joker makes an army of Jokers, but there's multiple Jokers through history, which is just it kills the whole thing. This is, wow, look at the coloring for this. So really cool. So I guess like this is someone linked to the Joker's secret identity. But I like, does this stem, what was it, like Crisis of, not Infinite, Crisis, where's the one where Batman sits in the Mobius chair and he asks the Mobius chair who is the Joker, and the Mobius chair tells him? I don't know if this is a direct sequel to that or this even addresses it. Yeah, and then Joseph Hill. I really, and like, oh wow, so he goes to see Joseph Hill on his deathbed, and I guess he writes him a apology letter. It's just a nice looking, a hell of a looking book. Like a hell of an illustration effort. Maybe I will, like, because I am a little bit curious on what the hook of the story is. I just don't like the idea that we're even addressing that there's three in continuity Jokers here. You can call this three Jokers, you know, and you can have the story, but it, you know, like, these should not be in continuity. But it is Black Label, right? So is Black Label outside of continuity? I don't know. It's confusing, guys, and we should have some info about that here. And I don't think we do. Like, we don't have a reading order, notes on this publication at all. But a great visual. Great effing visual.